Good morning. Good morning, family. And you notice I say family, right? Look around the room. There's our doctor brother over here, you know. We got them all. I'm Veronica Marsman. I am the property manager at Akoma. Okay, I see some Nova Scotians in the house. The rest of you, how many? Where's the Scotians? Scotia from Scotia too? Okay. Okay, and the rest of you are from other places. Okay, so have you been to Nova Scotia before? Do you know where it's at? So we're West Coast, go all the way East Coast, Boston. We get all Boston's dirt. So when they have the storms, we catch it usually. Okay, so that just gives you a little idea in terms of where we are. So as I stated, I'm Veronica Marsman. I'm the property manager at Akoma, a position that I have had now for 7 years. I've been with Akoma for 14. The first 7, I was the executive director of the Family Center. And then took on property management as a part-time gig that blossomed into full-time. And with me?
My name is Sunday Miller. I'm property consultant, and I've been with Akoma for about 1.5 years, almost, close to 2 years. And my background is science and business, so I would never have anticipated that I would have been a property consultant in developing land in the Black community. But it's very exciting, and with transferable skills, you can go anywhere. So.
Right, so as Sunday stated, the transferable skills, by nature, by trade, I am a social worker, so using all of my transferable skills to property development. So just think of it, the communication to interpersonal, all of that is what I'm utilizing in this position. So this morning, we're going to take you through, now Sunday, we have to point at him, even though we're looking there. So quickly, we're going to go through this agenda in the next 50 minutes. We'll do an overview of the history of Akoma, our current status, what's actually on the property now. We'll look at the developments in process and some future plans, some challenges, talk about the teamwork, the benefits, and then we'll open up for some Q&A. But before we begin, we have to do our land acknowledgement. I think Nat did it at the beginning, but we also like to do it. Akoma acknowledges that we are in Mi'kmaq territory, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people who have lived in Nova Scotia for over 10,000 years. We recognize and express our gratitude and appreciation to the Mi'kmaq people who now permit us to live on their land. We honor them and the strength exhibited during the trials that they have endured and continue to endure. We also acknowledge the many people of African descent whose ancestors were forcibly displaced as part of the transatlantic slave trade against their will and made to work on Nova Scotia lands. We honor and pay tribute to our ancestors of African origin whose teaching, strengths, and perseverance continue to challenge and inspire our community. Akoma recognizes that African Nova Scotians are a distinct founding people in Nova Scotia who have been a key part in the province's culture and history. Akoma's mission is to provide stewardship of our assets and seek opportunities for partnerships by adhering to Afrocentric principles, thus creating economic and social opportunities for the African Nova Scotian community and the greater society. So that's our land acknowledgement. Okay, get it right, get it right. So for those who are not from Nova Scotia, this is a map of Nova Scotia. So before we start in terms of Akoma and what it is that we're doing, I got to give you a little bit of history, okay? So what you see here is that there are 52, now I'm not coordinated enough to run everything. 52 Black communities in the province here, okay, throughout Nova Scotia. So just about all areas of Nova Scotia, there is a historic Black community. Now, many of these communities had their land expropriated. Now, we've been hearing a lot about taking property from, whether it's indigenous communities, because we all took it from them, and then even in terms of the Black communities, many of them had land expropriated. And with all of these communities that we've had, now you got to think back 100 years ago. So what would happen post-war if there were Black kids that were orphans? We had many orphanages back in the day. We had St. Thomas, St. Mary, St. this, and but Black kids, they had no place to go if they were orphaned. So the leaders of the day got together and they established a colored home in Nova Scotia, the Nova Scotia Home for Colored Children. So back then, if you were orphaned, you were either incarcerated, put in what they called back then insane asylums, or you were homeless. You were on the streets. So the colored home was established to take care of our Black children. The first colored home was destroyed in 1917. For the Scotians, what happened in 1917 in our province? The Halifax explosion. 2 ships collided in our Halifax harbor. The story goes that had it been 2 weeks later, there would have been deaths for the staff or the residents who were residing in the home. So the home used to be in Halifax. So the leaders of the day said, heck Halifax, heck the harbor. We're going as far as ways we can get from that. So the province purchased some farmland, the Mackenzie farmland, towards the Prestons. And that's where the colored home, in 1921, they restructured and they opened the colored home. Now, in the U.S., there was practically a colored home in every state. In New Orleans, I actually seen the building, and it was the Waif's Home for Boys. And Louis Armstrong, the trumpet guy, he would be in and out of Waif's homes, and he was having trouble, he'd be in and out of every state had a colored home, except for in Canada, Nova Scotia was the only province. So and that's the reason for that, because we're kind of like the birthplace in Blacks in Canada, right? Being there for over 400 years. So that land, the Nova Scotia Home for Colored Children land, is now called Akoma. And we say Akoma versus Akoma. We tend not to want to think of putting our kids in Akoma. So sounds easier, nicer, Akoma. The intent of the orphanage was to keep families together. And then in 1978, 1979, when orphanages were going by the wayside, that's when they developed group homes. Yeah, that would be great. So vision and mission, I already mentioned this in our land acknowledgement. The vision, as you see there, to take advantage of the opportunities and to provide services that benefit the African Nova Scotian communities, but we are taxpayers too, so it's general society. And then also our mission, this is the part that I love. We're committed to providing stewardship of the assets to create economic and social opportunities. That's what we're trying to do. Now, when you date back, remember I said it was 1921? So the Nova Scotia Home for Colored Children property, and now Akoma, is 103 years old. So 103 years. This shows you the property. 320 acres of Black community property. Now, we say, and really, you guys, if we're wrong, please let us know, because we'll keep using this narrative until somebody tells us differently. that we're the largest Black landowner in Canada, to our knowledge. 320 acres. And to think, all the time the government was expropriating property, they didn't get that. So we truly believe that God's hand is upon us, because why else? 320 acres of Black community property. So on the property, this over here, this highway, number 7 highway, that takes you to, we actually border on 3 major of older Black communities: Cherrybrook, Lake Loon, North Preston, and East Preston, and we're kind of in the center of both of those. So we had the orphanage building, we have the schoolhouse that the kids from the orphanage would have went to, and then down here, see the 2 little buildings there? That's the group homes. So when the orphanage up here closed, there's the group homes. And this shows you the mass extent of our property. Now, this is just a rendering of what could be. But for 100 years, there really wasn't anything on the property other than the orphanage. And then in 78, 79, the two group homes came. But really, we haven't done anything on the property. So the current status, the family center, so remember the group homes? That's Akoma Family Center. So we have 2 entities. We have Akoma Holdings that I work, and Sunday and I both work at Holdings, but we also have the Family Center. We're still in the business of caring for children. We have the capacity, when it was an orphanage, it was up to 65, 75 kids. When I look at the records, it was as many as 15 families. So one family, Smith, it would be like 15 kids that were placed at the colored home back in the day. Now the capacity for a family center is 6, and most of the children, they're young children, ages 2 to 12, and most of them are on the spectrum. So there's behavioral and challenges with some of the children. We take all ethnic groups. In fact, in the 60s is when we diversified, and it was no longer just Black families. We were taking white children as well. We have about 11 staff of African descent, 24/7 hour care for these children. And the average length of stay is supposed to be a short-term placement until the social workers decide where these kids are going to go. But as you can see, a year. It's almost a year that the kids are placed with us. The second building is now being leased to East Preston Daycare because they needed more space. So this just shows you our children's unit. We try and keep it as family-focused as possible. Now this shows you the extent of the property. So as you can see, there's the Kinney Place, the Bald Center. We call that would have been the schoolhouse. There's the Bald Annex, our hydroponic farm, and this new road that's being developed on our property. But you see how far the property goes down? Way down. And it's way up here. So 300 undeveloped Black community property. Kinney Place, that's the orphanage. So folks say this is what it looked like when I got there in 2010, and you'll see pictures of what it looks like now. And J.A.R. Kinney, this guy here, he was the superintendent. He overseen the operations at the colored home. We, as in many organizations and institutions, we fell prey to allegations of abuse, neglect. And we had this rendering done by a Black artist to come in, because that's our history. We don't like it. It's unfortunate it happened, but just like slavery, we can come through that. We're like the Sankofa bird. We're moving forward. We got 320 acres to develop. So we're moving forward. We're looking back, acknowledging our past, and we're bringing young ones on our back with us. That's what we're doing. So we had just like this building, a transformation. That's what we did with this building. We transformed it. Lots of hurt for some people in that building, But what we're saying to them, we can't stay there. We need to heal as a people. And we're still healing through the transatlantic slave trade. That's still affecting all of our communities. So in the building, you see there's a hair salon and spa, Black owned. Next. And you can see we've got 2 electric vehicle chargers. Now, not many in our communities have electric vehicles yet, but we're preparing for it. You can see this is opening day. See that building? See how it's transformed? And there's a beautiful, wonderful cafe that's in the building. Opus, very busy. Lineups on the weekends. It's all-day breakfast, so they're doing a booming business. And then we have a social room that will soon be gone because people want to be in our space and we have no more room for them. So every space that we have is being transformed. This, again, shows you the property, and as I stated, this is Kinney Place here. This is the cottage that J.R. Kinney would have lived in with. Now, that's still undeveloped. So that's an old heritage. This is all heritage property. We got it deemed heritage property. See our beautiful community garden in full bloom on this busy number 7 highway. Everybody gets to see it. In order for the home back in the day to survive, it had one of the best farms in the province. Dr. Agriculture, they call him, he's the principal at the Agricultural College. He sent his students to do their placement at the Colored Home Farm. They had chickens, cows, you name it, the full farm. That's how they managed to run their operations. This is the schoolhouse that's now refurbished into a vibrant community space with rental. Nova Scotia Works Employment Office in the basement. So that's sustainable. Everything that we do is grant funded. All I do every day is write grants. And then this building here, the Walled Annex, we acquired that from a business that we rented to, and they lost the funding to the Y. So then we now rent that out to other Black businesses. And then right on the side, see this little white thing here? That's our hydroponic farm. We're the only Black business in the province that has a hydroponic farm. So we can grow. Here we can grow just in the season. And you know our weather in Nova Scotia, so we're limited to 3-4 months of growth. But here we can grow all year long. Okay, so that building that I showed you was 103 years old. So you say 103. Imagine we're always having tropical storms, hurricanes. Can you imagine how many hurricanes and tropical storms that building stood through? 103 years. And so when we had the architects come in, good bones. So that was part of the decision. Do we restore it? Do we tear it down? And when they looked at the bones of it, just like this building, good bones. So that was part of the decision to refurbish it. Okay, keep going. So the Bald Center, renovated. That was our first initiative. I was paying money to white businesses, hotels, to have a staff meeting when I was the ED of the Family Center with 40-some staff, and I had to take it off grounds. It didn't make any sense. When we have a building that was run down up the road. So we refurbished it, and as you can see now, the top of it is a vibrant community space, self-supporting. We get enough rentals and cheap. When I say cheap, we try and make things affordable for our folks in our community. So $30 an hour will get you a space in that building. And we have a commercial kitchen in it. So when you rent the facility, you rent everything there with it. The Bald Annex, the property that we acquired, as I stated, it's has 3 offices in there now. Folks are in there. And in the Kinney Place, what I neglected to say is that the businesses that are in there, like the cafe and the hair salon, they couldn't afford those $25, $30 an hour square foot for downtown Halifax or Dartmouth. So we said, come with us for $5, $6. And so they could see if their business was going to work. And lo and behold, they're thriving. And that's why more folks want to be in our space. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? So the community garden, one of the things we realized, and it's been in operation now for like 14 years, and some of these gardeners were, older folks that were there. They're now living in apartments. They used to have a home. They could garden. And then all of a sudden, we started thinking, well, they're out there all day. Where are they going to the bathroom at? So again, another grant, and we got a shelter for them where there's actually washroom facilities and a lunchroom in it, so they can at least relieve themselves. Everything that we do as well, not only through grants, but through partnerships. So the greenhouse back there was a partnership with Businesses Jamming, which is a BBI initiative, Black Business Initiative. They helped write a grant and generate the funds, and their youth were working in that. Then we also have the hydroponic farm that I mentioned. We purchased that through a Akoma grant in 2021. We had youth trained to run it. Hydroponic farming is not easy. You got to watch it. You're not using lots of soil, not using lots of water. So we had to, and it's all technologically driven. So we had youth come in and teach them how to do it. So we produce kale, basil, edible flowers, lettuce, and some peppers in that we can sell at the markets, as well as donate to the food banks, Preston Area Food Bank and Parker Street and a couple of others. We also, through support, got a wood pizza oven on our property. So as the community social engagement event, on Monday nights, from May till end of September, we have Monday night pizza nights where a community can just drop by, have a slice of pizza and a soda for $6, but many times it's donated, the funds. So it's just to come and hang out.
So in 2018, we did a needs assessment in the community. We wanted to find out, okay, what do you think the priorities are? So we were told that people needed affordable housing, that they needed long-term care facilities, that they needed transportation improvements, that they needed seniors housing. Like there was a whole list of things that they said that they needed and that they wanted to have. So then what we ended up doing is that when the Rapid Housing Initiative came into being, are you familiar with the Rapid Housing Initiative? Yeah, and so we applied for the no, you're shaking your head no. So basically the Rapid Housing Initiative is where you would get funds and you had 18 months to build. And so we got money and we built 4 two-bedroom duplexes that are deeply affordable. Deeply affordable. And so we really worked at it because we wanted to build community. And that's what we're all about. Is this the pointer? Am I going the wrong way? No? So this is all virgin land, right? So this is what it was when we started the build. It was just all trees, so we had to go in and clear. And it was very challenging because we also didn't know what the ground was. So one of the things, that we'll talk about is our challenges that we had. But CMHC and the Department of Housing was willing to support us in the development of these homes. And so what we ended up doing was creating these wonderful 2-bedroom, and we worked with the shelter organizations in the area. So we went to them because we did not want to be responsible for identifying who went into the homes, because then the community could say, oh, they had their friends in there, or it was family members. So we went to the shelters and said, you identify young women or whoever with children who could benefit from this home. And when we say that it's deeply affordable, it's a 2-bedroom and we cover the heat, hot water, power, lights, internet. And there's a washer and dryer in every unit. And fridge stove, yeah, it comes completely outfitted. And the rent is between $650 and $1,000. And so this was launch day. So this is sort of like a little idea of what it was. We had the launch in October of '23. we were not able to get people in until December of 23, but it was December 22nd, so it was a Christmas gift. Everybody was happy. It was wonderful. Went into one of the units, and the very first thing that they were doing was sticking up a Christmas tree in the corner, because some of them were coming out of hotels, and their children kept saying, are we going to have it, or shelters, but yeah, and saying, are we going to have a Christmas tree? Are we going to have a Christmas tree? So the very first thing they did when they moved in was stick up a Christmas tree and put lights on it. Yeah, and it was. I mean, it was like a community of celebration. I mean, our plans were to sort of be able to move people in over a period of days, and everybody was coming the same day. It was amazing what was going on the site. And so it was really done. We worked with Dora Construction, because they were an organization that says we build community. So they aligned with our values. And we also were asking them, we said, please hire as many blacks as you can. And they were willing to do that. So this is an aerial overview of Fairfax how it is at this point in time. And you can sort of see all the wilderness that's still all around it. And we named it Fairfax because he was really important and instrumental in the black community. And the names of the streets, this is Reverend Donner Skier Way, and this goes right out to Main Street. So again, someone who was very instrumental in the community. And this is called Paris Lane. And Paris Lane is after the two women who were matrons in the orphanage. They were sisters. Okay. Just some pictures of the inside. So this is like the kitchen area, dining area, child's bedroom, bathroom, living area. When we talk about affordable homes, one of the things that we said, we want them to be good, affordable homes, because it could be affordable in a basement that's damp with cockroaches, right? That's not acceptable. That's not what we wanted to create. So the things that we're developing, we're actually working on a 144-bed long-term care facility. Yeah, and you see that road that Veronica showed that we're building, that road was put in to facilitate the development of the long-term care facility. And what we did, it's funded, of course, by the province in partnership with Northwood, which is a long-term care facility service provider in Nova Scotia. And so, and I think it's important that we state that no matter what we're doing, we will never sell the land. It will be leased. They're leasing the land from us. And so it's going to be 144 beds. And the thing that's interesting about this is that design that you see, all of this, we created an Afrocentric Advisory Committee. So initially it was Veronica and I meeting with the architects and the design people saying this is what we want. Then we had a huge community, engagement session, and they put forward more things, and the architects went back and they came back with some more stuff. And when they came back with some more stuff, we then put together an Afrocentric Advisory Committee. Everybody came together. We presented them with what the architects had come up with, and we said, okay, we broke them into teams. You go away and you come back with the design that you want. Both teams came back with the same design. So we know that's what the community wants. And we know that we're probably going to have somewhere around 230, 240 jobs that are going to come as a result of that. We're also doing a second business hub because, as Veronica said, the building that we're in that's an incubator is full, and we have at least 6 people who want to come in, and one, of course, is going to be separate because the Halifax Public Libraries wanted to come in, and then they said, no, we actually want 5,000 square feet. We said, well, you can't have it be in this building. That's going to be something separate. And so we are working on a second business hub, and this is just kind of a rendering of what we're going to be doing. There'll be training centers, the Afrocentric Empowerment Academy, who works with people who have trades in the community but don't have the red seal. So we'll have training facilities, we'll have organizations in there, and it's basically black business serving black community. And so it's going to be accessible, and we're striving for, zero emissions. So we're excited about that. I mean, this is just sort of a rendering, and I saw something yesterday that picture I want to show you, so it might not look like that at all by the time. but so we're working on that too, so that's kind of exciting.
One of the things with, if you don't mind, Sunday, one of the things with in Nova Scotia. Remember I said the 52 black communities? Most of the black communities were known for a trade, one trade or another. Like in East Preston, they're great at cement and bricklaying. North Preston, even to this day, paving. Hammonds Plains was known back in the day for coopers, you know, making the barrels to send the fish away or whatever. Beachville's still known for roofing. So many of the black communities were known, but over the years, because of the certification, we've lost that trade or the red seal. So what Africadian are doing is training them and getting them the red seals, helping them to get the red seals so they can compete for those positions. So that's, and this is just a rendering of their trade space. Like they're gonna have 4 classrooms where they can actually do their work.
Okay, and the other thing we've got, people are approaching us in regards to wanting to get on the space. So we've been approached by A&W, so we're actually working on our leases and contracts to get A&W on the space as well, which means, of course, whenever you do one of these franchises, it's employment, but it's also leadership. You know, because they do leadership training and then the jobs. What we're actually hoping is that the person who can actually buy the franchise will be of African descent, but if not, then at least people who are working on site in the A&W is of African descent.
Yeah, the management team. So what we'll do in one of our community engagement sessions is put that out there to folks to say, hey, does anyone want to purchase a franchise? And A&W will work with them on getting it established. But meanwhile, we've learned that we don't have to do all the builds. Let other people come to us. So the proposals that we get are crazy. They've got us going
Everywhere.
everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. But it has to fit in with our values and with our vision.
The other thing we note, remember I said how it was the colored home with 65 kids now, then it went to the group homes with 30 some, and now we're down to 6. One of the things we recognize is that we need a new facility for those kids on the autism spectrum. So we need to put in new homes for them. So the current executive director, this is, again, just a rendering of what she's looking at, where one side of it will be children in care, and the other side would be children in care, but under the DSP, the Disability Support Program offered by the province. So again, a rendering of what could be. So more homes. We just did 8 units. We definitely need more.
We were gifted land. No, go ahead.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Go ahead.
So we have 320 acres, and most of that is undeveloped, as you've seen. But a company believed in what we were doing, had some property in the black community, and said, hey, we're going to give that to you, Akoma. And so right now, the application is into CMHC. We're just waiting for the quantity surveyor to verify the Class B estimate, and then we have 8 units going up in the Lake Loon community.
3 and 4 bedroom.
3 and 4 bedrooms now. And we have a plan as well for 36 more units. Fairfax 2, we're calling. So just where you're seeing that circle with the other 8, we're going to do 36 more. But it takes time. So really, 103 years. But this all came to be within the last 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll hold questions till at the end. Thanks.
The other proposal we have before us is a sports center. In Nova Scotia, because of our weather, soccer folks came to us and said, we need a fixed roof, domed, fixed roof soccer stadium or field. And we have the property. So we're like, okay, make it happen. We don't have money. Holdings gets $40,000 a year from the right-of-way on our property from Nova Scotia Power. That's it. The rest of it, we're out hustling, applying for those grants. We're looking for major investors. We finally got one last year who believed in our vision. The McConnell Foundation came to the table to help us do the second bill. But with the sports center, once soccer was at the table, then track said, well, if you're going to put in a soccer field, track, we want that around it. Then basketball came. Then what is it, that pickleball? Everybody started to come because they said, if you're going to do a sports center of excellence, then we want to be there. And so it got a little out of hand, especially for the organization that has no money and everybody wants all of this, right?
But we were able to get money so we could do an RFP. So we are in the process of getting an RFP done, feasibility study, to see what do we actually need in the community, and expecting that feasibility study to be available by the end of December. So then we can then determine what are we actually going to put into the sports facility. Is it going to be soccer? Is it going to be volleyball? Is it going to be basketball? What size? Domed, not domed, open, costs? Yeah, we're excited.
And how much is it going to cost? Give us some ideas of that. Because the proposal that, the first one we got was $40 million. I can't get $3 million to build the homes. Where am I getting 40? The mic. So, yeah, so those are some of the challenges. Again, this just shows you the property mass. Now you have a better understanding of where we are, but remember, all of this is vacant land right now.
Go back. I just want to show. So this is where we're anticipating the sports center,
Yes.
the long-term care center. We're also working on, it's not here. Anyway, it doesn't make any difference.
The proposal
For
we have a
the Arts
proposal
Center.
from an organization in Mississauga,
For-
the Ontario folks, for a Black-owned funeral home and cemetery crematorium.
Yep. And then an arts center as well.
Yes, Black Artists Society.
Yep.
So
Future
future
plan.
plan. So that was, those plans that you just heard of, that's ongoing. But then there's still more things that came out of that needs assessment and community engagement sessions where people are asking for all of this stuff as well.
And we really need to recognize that we need to have a hotel. So I guess it's where, if you've been to member two, we want to be member two, and they have a hotel, they're building their second one. So we need to start with one so that we actually have, when people come, they've got a place to stay. That's on Black land.
When we first started, one of the things we did is we went to member two. We met with Senator Christmas at the time, and we said, okay, how did you guys do it? Because member two was very similar to like our Africville. 125 indigenous people on the Sydney River, all of a sudden it became prime land. They pushed them off, thought that they would die. Member two owns Sydney practically now. They've got everything. They're doing it.
Over 2,000 acres they own.
Yeah, and so we asked them, how did you do it? And got some lessons. And we continue to meet with them every year to say, okay, give us some more tips. Help us out, our brothers and sisters. So.
And I've had people calling me from Ontario wanting to know, do we have any seniors' homes? Because they're thinking of retiring in like 3 or 4 years, and they want to know if something's available to come home. So we're actually, already getting numbers. Okay, challenges. Go ahead.
So challenges, teamwork, and benefits. That's the CTBs is what we're going to look at next.
We didn't mention our Broom Lake. We have a lake that we're
Yes, we have our own beautiful Broom Lake. Has a trail that leads to it from the family center. So challenges, and there were many. When that whole vast property, 320 acres, because when I got there in 2010, I'm like, how come we ain't building things? We need homes. We need this. I don't have a center to train the staff on. Lo and behold, the city, HRM, has a plan. So for a 25-year plan, they look at the city and they say, these are the areas that are going to develop in that 25 years. They looked at us. Nothing had been done for 100 and some years, so they X'd us out. So, but every 5 years, the city plan goes up for review. So our property, that 320 acres practically, was deemed urban reserve. You own it, but you can't go to the city to get a permit, so you can't build. So every 5 years, it comes up for review. So we went to them, we said, we're doing the old home, we're restoring it. We need this deemed commercial, blah, blah, blah. So they gave us a special zoning. The youngins that were there, they looked at it, said, this is what the policy says, but let's find a loophole. So you got to work with those folks to help you find the loophole. Think out of the box. And that's what they did. So they gave us, because the city is looking at it from an infrastructure point, which is money. So they're looking and they're saying, you need traffic, you need water, you need sewer, and we didn't have any of that. So that's why they just X'd us out. So that was a challenge, our boundaries. The regional plan, the land, as you heard from Sunday, our land, Nova Scotia is a bedrock province. So no matter what you do, you're going to be blasting. Blasting costs money. That's why the tenants didn't get in till the last minute, because there was so much rock, and the DORA did their work by getting the 3 bids, and the company that came in to do it was too small. So we had to bring in the big boys just before Christmas. They got it done, got the people in, but it cost more money. Also, water. So there's lots of property. There's lots of water on our property, and so you can build on water. We see that. They fill in the Africville area there. They fill in the harbor. But again, it's money. So you're talking to an organization that has no money. So finances, the traffic challenge, the number 7 highway is very busy, and there's not enough lights. So us trying to pull out and turn left on every day, it's really, you're playing cat and mouse, really. It's
Russian
horrible.
roulette.
Yeah, and finances. Who we working with? Oh, wait, no, you guys got to catch up. Who we're working with, we have a team that we work with. One of the lessons from member 2, I said, how'd you do it? I'm a social worker by trade. What do I know about construction? I just say, get it done. And the first thing they said is, you need a retired planner. You need someone who can speak the city planner's language. And so that's what we did. Abigail from Moyer, who lives in Ontario, is part of our planning team. One thing COVID did for us, it opened the doors. You don't have to be in the province to work with us. We got the engineers, we got all these folks to work with us. The other thing that we did, people started saying, we want it to be an Afrocentric design building. What in the heck does that look like in Nova Scotia? So we had an RFP out, and we got 2 companies that responded to it, and we kind of forced a merger. 2 folks were from the U.S., and the other 2 folks from Canada. So one did the Afrocentric engagement. We have a report. We'd love to share it with anybody who wants it. That's the other thing we do. We share our stuff. So don't go reinventing. It's already there. And then the other one gave us a report on Afrocentric builds and what that should look like and what it really means in Canadian weather and Canadian climate.
And the other challenge that we realize is that sometimes the bylaws and things that are in place do not enable Afrocentric design. So we're working with the city in that.
So the benefits are many. Job opportunities, homes, the Bald Center rental, the Fairfax homes that we've built, Kinney Place businesses, incubator, the long-term care facility, many benefits, and collaboration and partnership. We're building a community. So that's how you connect with us. We thank you for coming to hear what we have to say.
You want us to go back? The contact slide. Go back to the contact slide.
Oh, I'm doing it on. And again, even to have like contacts up there costs money. Like websites are good if they're updated, and even to find the time to update websites. So we had to get a little grant to get communications in there and to help somebody write grants for us. So everything costs money.
Any questions? I know that you had a question initially, and I had said that we'd take them at the end.
I was curious, in terms of the development, the homes, single standing and duplexes, was there, can you speak to the choice for that size versus perhaps a small scale apartment structure?
they actually, when we got the grant, or when we were applying for the grant, because you have to put in what you're building, those group of team folks around the table, mostly white men, let's face it, they said, yeah, we can put up a one building, square building, you know, and get eight homes in there. And I said, you know what? We've been in buildings like that forever. We want homes. So really force the issue with them. And they said, well, it's going to cost more. And we said, I don't care. We'll write the grant for more. And that's what we wanted, homes. And now we can look at, now that we have homes, we want a mixture of units on. We will have, like you've seen in Fairfax and Lake Loon, there will be row homes. There will be apartment units. We're looking at an 84 seniors complex on the property. So there will be larger structures, but as our first one out of the gate, lots of lessons learned, we wanted homes. So it was really a conscious choice by us to say homes versus apartment unit.
Wonderful work that you're doing. Like, even us in Ontario, we're like looking at the stuff you guys are doing, and every time it's just more and more exciting. I just wanted to know what some of your plans are for like long-term profitability. Not that you guys are like out to make money, but you guys are moving from grant to grant. But like, how are you planning on
right now? So
yeah.
The biggest challenge that I have is capacity. Our Black organizations, none of our organizations have capacity. We're all doing this on the side of our paid job desk, or we're trying to squeeze it in and writing grants. We want to get to the point where organizations will invest in us. And every time I went to the bank, every time we went to organizations, what do they say? I see the BMO building, I see the RBC Center, and I wanted to go to RBC, and I said, build me a building, you can slap your name on it. Oh, we're out of infrastructure now. But yet they have an EDI committee, employment, equity, diversity, and inclusion. Well, you've just excluded us. We're 400 years behind you. We're now out of the gate, and you're telling me that you shut the door? That's not equity, honey. So what we plan to do, give us enough funding capacity to get ourselves going. As I said, the Ball Center is self-sustaining, Kinney Place is self-sustaining, but we want to generate more. Some of the challenges that we have is as we build more homes, we want to have home ownership, but not, so like a condo living. You can own that home, but you don't own the property. Because we can't chance, as some of our Black communities, what happened is that when they sold their homes, white people moved in. And so half of Beachville subdivision is now white. We don't want that for our community. So we have to look at co-op, condo living, all of those things. But we want to have commercial units in some buildings as well that will generate money and be able to pay. So we need to be in a position to have enough money in the bank, not going grant, that if you sold your home, we could go and buy it back. We have to figure out all the details around that. But we need to be generating enough money ourselves and not living grant to grant. So we ask the government now, we have a proposal before them, or we'll be going before them in a month, to say give us 5 years of operational funding, so I don't have to lose night's sleep that Sunday's going to get paid, get me off the ground, and then give me 5 years, we'll be on our own.
And I'd also...
And it may not be longer than 5 years, but...
And also, too, we are bringing in, like, that's one of the benefits of A&W. So we're looking at things that are going to be giving us money so that when we want to do something, even when we do go, we've got hundreds of thousands of dollars that we can say this is what we've got to start with. And and for me, it's always been about becoming not just surviving, but to be profitable. And so we have to, I mean, let's face it, it's only been, as Veronica said, 3 years. And until a little over a year and a half ago, it was Veronica by herself. Now it's Veronica and I. So the reality of it is, when she says that there's not a lot of resources, there's only the two of us. It's small. And so we're just doing what we can, but it's going to take us time to get there. Do we have to leave?
No, I think this is awesome, and hats off to everything that you're doing. It's great to see, you know. I just have a question. Is there a kind of community master plan? Like, what does success look like? I see the project by project, but is there overall in terms of what the population, vision? Is it a jurisdiction in the future? Like, what is the, what does success look like in like maybe 20 years?
We do have we are working on a master plan.
Yeah, we have the master plan. That's the one, remember I said the rendering of what could be. But it changes every time. Every time we go to community, it changes. Society changes. They want something new. Pickleball. Who ever knew about pickleball before, right? So it keeps changing. We keep going back to community, though, and asking. So our next community engagement session is on November 6th. We'll go back to community. And again, the plans could change. What we want to do is build that property, create economic wealth for our community. We should not be living in poverty the way we are. We know the stats, Canada's stats on wealth in the Black community. We want to increase that, and we'll do our part. So the short answer is, yes, we have a vision of what we want to do, but it continually changes.
But it is for the benefit of the community and everybody involved who share our values.
So thank you guys for listening.
Yes, thank you.